starting ELSA Alumni was that to build a big network of alumni from different generations, different countries, different backgrounds, so that we can learn from one another, expand our knowledge, expand our network, grow as people, grow as professionals, reconnect with old friends, meet new friends, and ultimately make the world a better place. So I'm delighted that this is happening today. I would like to welcome everybody who's dialing in these very strange and challenging times. And I see we've got around 40 participants from different countries, different backgrounds, different periods in ELSA. So it's great to see the diversity of our network coming together. My particular thanks to Denise Hatami, who's on the ELSA Alumni board with me. She's going to be the moderator today. She's put in considerable effort in to make this happen. And particular thanks also to our guest speaker and our fellow alumni, Wojciech Wiewiórowski. So let me hand over to Denise, who's going to guide you through these session today.
Thank you, Patrick. A warm welcome to everyone, and a special thanks to, of course, Wojciech. Today we are discussing data as tools for law firms, businesses, and NGOs. Wojciech Wiewiórowski, the acting European Data Protection Supervisor, is kindly joining us. Thank you so much for being here. Very shortly about Wojciech, he has started his ELSA career as the VPA of ELSA Poland in 1992 and was the director for computerized information of ELSA International. Being the dedicated alumnus he is, he also had covered the position of the president in ELSA Lawyers Society between 2000 and 2001. Patrick and many of you who is attending today knows him as our Wojciech, but for me, he's a big source of inspiration. So once again, thank you, and I will leave the floor to you, Wojciech, for the rest of the webinar.
Thank you very much. Do you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay, yes. Okay, that's great. So welcome everybody, Wojciech Wiewiórowski. I'm the alumni of ELSA, of course, and right now the European Data Protection Supervisor. I have this opportunity to be first the speaker at our webinar, so it means that most of the mistakes that we will do today, and you will be free of these mistakes at the other meetings. I will try to be on time. I will look at my watch and my clock here in the room in Brussels, and I will try not to speak too long. It's always the problem of the people who are academic speakers, that they count the speaking time in the 45 minutes. And I don't want to speak to you 45 minutes. I'm just going to use this 20 minutes for the introduction to this discussion. Introduction, because there's no way to deal with the subject in such a short time. There's no way to cover the whole idea of how the lawyers and how the business and how the NGOs are using the data in their normal everyday work, and how they process the information in their professional life. Some of you might be surprised by the title, Data as a Tool. Data as a tool? Data is not a tool. This software might be the tool. Hardware might be a tool, but not data. But actually, I would like to show you in this presentation that the data became a kind of intermediary thing between us and the possibilities which are given by the technological field. We usually look from the other angle, and we think that that's the technology which gives us the access to the data and to the information. And I will try to reverse it today a little bit, showing you that it's important what kind of data do we have, because sometimes we are too focused on the tools, too focused on the software, too focused on the possibilities of information technologies. We said for the law firms, businesses, and NGOs, but of course in 20 minutes I'm not able to cover all these aspects, so I will cover mostly the examples from the law firm world, since we are the European Law Student Association, but of course they will be also accessible, and they might be used for the business purposes. Moreover, most of them are coming somehow from the business, so they were first used in the business, and then we start to use them for the legal field, for the lawyers' work as one of the environments. So I should, as a typical data protection supervisor, to welcome you as the data subject. So ladies and gentlemen, the data subjects, you are the information, you are the data. So you are datified as well as all the other objects in the world are datified, which means that you are assessed and you are taken into the small pieces in order to be presented in the information systems, in order to be presented through the different kind of information tools. And of course, what is going out of that, out of this processing, is not necessarily what is really you. It does not necessarily say about your real life and about your real position. Moreover, it does not necessarily say that things about the people that you want to get information about. As lawyers, we want to know who is working with us, who is making the contract with us, who is our client, who might be our client, who might be finally the defendant in the case, and what is probably the most interesting and most specific for our position, who will be the lawyer that we will meet in the court, who will be the judge that will be judging our decision. If you are in the Anglo-Saxon system, that will be also the question, who will be in the jury. As I said, I work as the European Data Protection Supervisor, but I'm not going to go too much to the personal data field today, giving probably some examples from our work with the European institutions and our work for the all European cases. So what is then this world that we live in and that we are dealing with? Of course, the European Union as the organization, but first of all, our profession and our professional life seen through the digits. There are phases of evolution of the legal services into the digital world. We already gone through the tailor-made, customized legal work, which have been drafted from the beginning. We started to use the computers for our work. We gone through the standardized systems and standardized contracts that you can find in the internet, standardized procedures that you can go through, and we are right now starting to get the packaged information, which will be customized to different kind of professions that we do and different kind of jobs that we do. But in the nearest future, and that's something where we are going to, we will get the information customized for the services of each and every of us. And this is not the science fiction anymore. We have the systems already working for several years. They're first rule-based systems which were assessing the situation according to the rules prepared by those who thought they know a little bit more about the legal profession and about the legal tradition, started to appear already in 80s and 90s, and they already started to be useful. But right now we are going to the world where we start to have artificially intelligent lawyers assistants, at least, And in a while, we will have probably the artificial intelligence really included in the legal profession. What claimed to be artificial intelligence at the moment is not necessarily artificial intelligence. That is still a kind of knowledge-based algorithms, but the knowledge-based algorithms which are learning on their own behavior and learning of the another data which we are adding to it. The first examples of such an legal assistance have been introduced in the law companies around 2015, 2016. And these are the examples that we will say about in few minutes. As I said, not science fiction anymore. This is not HAL 9000 from Odyssey. This is not Skynet. This is not Minority Report. But we can stop for a while at Minority Report. Do you remember this movie? Each and every technology that have been presented in the Minority Report, except of the precogs, so those who were predicting the future, each and every other technology was already in use at the moment when the movie was screened. It existed. At least the first examples of that have been prepared. There was nothing which was invented. Also, the lawyers are not the beginners in this field. We had the books on the artificial intelligence in law in the 90s. We had the foundation, which is called URIX, and which is organizing the international conference on the legal knowledge and information systems and artificial intelligence in these systems already for 32 years, as you can see on the screen. So that is not a new subject, but the subject which starts to be more and more envisaged in the everyday work of the lawyer, and not only in the private business. We usually think that these are the private institutions and the private companies which are first trying to deal with it. And look what has happened in what is going on in the governments. Well, the Estonian Ministry of Justice in 2018 has informed that they are going to prepare the robot judges that could soon replace the humans in small claims in the courts. And they treat it as a normal evolution of quite a well-organized data system in the country, which is already datified for around 10 years. So for around 10 years, all the data for the public administration is stored in the central systems of the government, which, by the way, has the backup copy, which is staying which is preserved in Sweden. How the private market looks like at the moment, I checked it yesterday, in the tech index organized by Stanford University Codex Institute, there are 1,300 companies which are providing the legal software in the United States. They are divided in this index into smaller groups, where, of course, still the most important part are those who are doing the document automation. But more and more resources are for practical management of the offices and for the online dispute resolutions, which already means that some of the topics are at least given to the possibility of being solved by the courts. Some of you probably already met these companies, met this software in the everyday work of your company. Some of them are tailored for the lawyers, some of them are more general. We will take the example of those who are tailored for the lawyers. And starting with the best example, maybe also the most famous example of the software, which is called ROS, or information system, I would rather say, which is called ROS. It's based on Watson, which is the IBM solution for artificial intelligence search. And In 2016, the first American company has informed that they employed Ross as the employee in the company. Of course, that's a simplification. That was no labor contract, nothing like that. And Ross has been given only the role of the assistant of those lawyers who are working in the bankruptcy practice and in insolvency work for this company. But it's an important moment to understand where do we put these tools and what does these tools really do for the lawyers. Of course, they are not employed to give the final answers. These are still just assistants which are doing this most boring and most time-consuming job, which is the going through all these files, all these case laws, all this information that you can find online, all the information you can find in your books, the doctrine, and etc., and trying to give you the path that you can go with the client. But Ross is not put in the position of the judge because he's not working for the judges. He's working for the company. And the company never knows who will pay, party A or party B. So Ross has to be ready not to give the objective answer that is required, but to give an answer which will be satisfactory for the party A or for party B, no matter which one will be the one which is paying us. And this is what Watson, as the IBM solution, can do. I had taken part in the presentation of Watson some 3 or 4 years ago, where the possibilities of this system have been shown to the scientists, to the lawyers, scientists. And we were allowed to ask the question to Watson. And the person who was presenting it to us said, just choose the sentence which is not obvious in its answer. And then we decided, okay, just for the sake of this exercise, we will choose the question, can Wikipedia be the reliable source of information for the scientist? And he asked, but do you want the answer yes or answer no? We said, no, we want the system to answer us. And he said, no, you can suggest, do you want rather to answer yes or rather to answer no? That was surprising for us, but we did it. So we suggested, okay, let's start from yes. And in milliseconds, we got the answer, yes, Wikipedia can be the reliable source of information for the lawyer researcher. And there are numerous studies which show that, and there is a list of these numerous studies. There are very authoritative lawyers who are supporting this idea. There are the good examples of the use of Wikipedia for these purposes, and all these have been listed. Then we answer no, or we suggested the answer no. And we got the answer from Watson, no, Wikipedia cannot be the reliable source for the legal information. And there are numerous studies which are presenting that, as well as authoritative persons who are saying that it cannot. And the good examples of the mistakes that have been done because of the use of the Wikipedia resources. Why? Because Watson should help. And if the help is already biased, and it can be biased, because this is actually what is a part of the job in many professions, that you have to rather answer your client. Of course, you have the borders which are given by the ethics of the profession, but apart from that, you have first of all represent the lawyer, so they represent the client. So in this sense, Ross is involved as the artificial intelligent assistant, being the entity working with the lawyer representing side A or side B. You can do the moot court with Ross if you want, because Ross can represent both of the sides. And what is a little bit scary in this example is that we sometimes are not really aware how he comes to the solution. That's my favorite cartoon from the conference Computer Privacy and Data Protection here in Brussels 2 years ago, where the person sits next to the computers asking, how can you judge me? And the computers answers, you wouldn't understand. You wouldn't understand because you actually don't know, and nobody knows what is going on in the black box. That's, of course, the part of the job of the people like the data protection authorities to say there is nothing like the black box that is allowed in the society like ours. So let me finish with the examples of the interesting systems that you can go through in your professional life. Of course, we can continue that giving the separate lecture about each of these kind of systems, but I would like to drive your attention only to several interesting parts of them. This last part, the last part which says about analytical tools, and especially the second part of that, those predictive tools. So the tools which try to predict how your work will look like and what are the problems that you may envisage in your work. So there are the products which can predict, count according to pure statistics. There's no huge rocket science in it. What can be the outcome of the lawsuit, and also how long it will take to get this outcome, and how expensive will it be. It's interesting when you start to use it for the criminal cases, because then you have to start to ask yourself, do we really know what will be the effect of such an activity for the access to justice, for the possibility to be really defended during the legal case. And my most favorite ones, like this one, which is called premonitions, which assess who of the lawyers can win in the front of which judge. So you can hire the lawyer or to work with the lawyer which is more successful with the contacts with the specific judge. You can predict how the company that you will work with, how the law firm that you will work with can perform, comparing the results of the lawyers of this company with the judges that you will meet. Of course, in some of the systems that would also go to the members of the jury. So the analytics of the tax evasions, analytics of the possible frauds are actually the past or the well-established presence, and the future is the prediction of the actions based on the outcome of the previous cases and based on the position and the opinions of the lawyers that might be involved. And of course, these prescriptive systems, so the systems that will be already deciding how should they help you, what should be the help that you need, are also one of the futures that we are talking about. The unfortunate part of this future might be the system like Compass. There's the system which was helping American judges to predict the recidivism of the persons who were taken into the court, but it appeared to be the racial biased, and it appeared to be making an unjustified choices. So please remember, big data that you are working with and the possibility of fast and efficient work on the electronic information taken out of the data is also the big responsibility. So the bigger the data is, the bigger is the responsibility. Also among the lawyers, who have to remember that the systems can assess also the behavior of the judges, the behavior of the lawyers, and the Chinese social credit system, which is given as an example of the intrusive, inadequate system of surveillance in the society, may probably be used first against the person like the lawyers if they really allow to do so. So thank you very much. I hope that I didn't bore you to death. And on the other hand, I want to leave you with a question. Do you think that this predictive analytics is the reality in your job? And can we understand that what is right now obvious for the predictive policing will be used for predictive legal profession in the nearest future? By the way, I show you the example of the Danish police using the predictive tools, and the data protection officer of the Danish police is the former Secretary General of ELSA International. So thank you very much. Big data is big responsibility, and we can treat it as the beginning of the discussion on the real meaning of the data in the legal profession. Of course, all the discussions like that are difficult in the society like ELSA Alumni, where some of you are the real geeks in big data technologies. Some of you are not that familiar with the technologies which are right now in use. So please forgive me for all the simplifications that I did today. I hope that it was at least understandable for all the people taking part in this meeting. Thank you very much, and I'm then going back to Denise.